All right, guys, welcome back to the channel. Hope you guys are doing fantastic. Check it out. I want to give a couple opinions about this Cuban situation that is happening. And as it happens, it breaks my heart. It breaks my heart to see that because I was born in Cuba, right? And I came at the age of 14. By the way, if you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe, hit that notification bell down below. Appreciate everybody that subscribe. Appreciate everybody that donate to Patreon. People that use the Amazon affiliate links down there, all that stuff. Appreciate you guys. But again, as I was seeing this situation, is hurtful. It's hurtful to see the country where I was born, the people suffering, right? And you know what? My mom brought me to this country for me to have a better chance. Like I said, I came at 14, and you know what? This country's amazing. I was able to serve in the Marine Corps. I was able to accomplish, a ton. By the way, my hands are dirty because I've been working, and I was able to do so many different things. Right? It's just amazing. I'm so blessed to be able to live in the United States and be an American citizen. Right? I'm blessed to do that. But again, 14 years old. I actually got a sister in Cuba. I saw her once, maybe a couple times when she was a month old. So she had to be, I don't know, 20 something years old. Never again saw her, right? So again, I got family there. And as I see the situation, it's just hurtful to say that. But at the same time, I was talking to my mom and I was telling my mom, well, I don't understand the expectation for the United States to do much because Cuba is a free country, right? So anything that we would do if we try to go in there and remove the president or something like that or take over, obviously that's an act of war. That would be like going to war with a different country. Cuba is his own country with his own military, with his own sovereign country. So really, the United States to do anything to kind of get into that right there is pretty much an act toward, right? And I was kind of telling my mom that obviously there's some economical things that they do and all that stuff, but it's interesting because when you put all these restrictions and all that, remember this, guys, it's not going to affect the top dogs, right? The guys that are big communists, the guys that are in charge are still going to be eating steaks and rice and beans and some good Cuban food. The people that are going to suffer is the people. So again, it's just a sad situation to see that. But when I look at that and I see our country now, I see things that they want to pass here that is simply things that happen in Cuba. So when I come into the internet and I talk to you guys, I always have that in my pocket or in my background. Some of the things that I say were like, hey, we got to be careful about these things is because at 14 years old, I remember seeing things in Cuba. I remember being hungry. I witnessed a cop shooting and killing somebody in front of me. I remember the government and how they took over, how they abused the Cuban people, how they, you didn't own anything, how they rationed your food, right? You had a book where they would write 3 pieces of bread if you are a family of 3, how they ration your clothes, how my mom had to really, really work to support me, and all that stuff. I remember all that stuff. And it's interesting because, when I hear these fools over here talking about how oppressed we are in this country, I think to myself, man, you have no idea what oppression is in 2021. None. Go to Cuba. Those people are really oppressed, right? The government will literally kill you. And there's many stories if you start searching here, right? So how do we got here? Like, how did the Cuban people got here after so many years? I think Fidel Castro took over about 1959 or 1960. I think it was 59 to be exactly, because that's when my mom was born, right? My mom was just a baby when this happened. Well, it happened with the promises that you see a lot of Democrats are doing. First, they want your guns. I keep saying this, right? They want your guns. Same thing happened in Venezuela. They took their guns. And what do? They become a tyrannical government. This is why the founding fathers, establish this such a great nation where we have a First Amendment, where we have a Second Amendment, where we have the right to bear arms, where we have the right to speak, right? Because a country that does not have the basic citizen, you and me, doesn't have the right to protect themselves and protect themselves not only from crazy neighbor that wants to do something bad to you, but from a tyrannical government. Eventually, if it becomes a tyrannical government, you're not going to be able to take care of yourself. You're not going to be able to defend yourself. I see the Cuban people screaming libertad, freedom, but they can't do nothing about it because the military has guns and they don't have any guns. So they won't be able to defend themselves against this tyrannical government that is literally killing them. Kids don't have food to eat. It's insane. I remember my mom, I was, 11, 12, 13, young kid, and we were hungry. I remember at the age of 7, they took away your milk. Fidel Castro said, you no longer rate milk. So you couldn't drink milk unless you buy it in the black market, where you could go to jail for many years for buying a piece of bread from somebody else. Right? So, again, it's just one of those things that you saw in Venezuela. They took the guns. The Venezuelan people were eating zoo animals from the zoo. Insane. But what do the Democrats do? They want your guns. They really do. Right? They are creating this dependency on the government. The government, they're going to provide you for everything. They always talk about, hey, look, I'm going to give you everything that you want. We give you money. We give you free rent. We give you free insurance. We give you everything free. But in the other hand, you don't realize that what they're doing is making you dependent on them so they can control you. If they could control your income, they could control your safety, they could control your housing, you will be totally controlled by them. That's not how this country was found. This country was found by people that wanted to work, people that wanted to take care of their family, people that wanted to defend themselves if something bad happened. No criminal has the right to attack you and victimize you. Right? But that's what Fidel Castro did. It was like, don't worry about it. We take care of you guys. We give you food. We give you a house. And here's the thing. We never pay for rent. When I was in Cuba, we had a house. And if you wanted to have another house, by the way, if you were a young buck and you got married and now you needed a house, obviously you don't want to stay with your mom and dad, right? It was very typical for them to build you a house in top, or you had to work construction. I remember that. And then you work construction for so long until they gave you a house. But you see, when people say, well, at least you have a house, you don't understand that they are controlling you. Because you know what? I like the fact that I could go from point A from point B. I live in North Carolina. Now I live down in Florida. If I wanted to move to another state, I could pick up my house with my hard work and go to a different place. Even if I wanted to go to a different country, I could file my paperwork and go to a different country. You have a little bit of that freedom. Not in Cuba. They will control you. They give you a house, but you will live in the house and you will die in the house because you ain't going nowhere. You give away your freedoms. And it's insane. Food. People don't have food to eat. I remember that. Like sodas, like Taco Bell. I remember when I went to Taco Bell for the first time. I mean, people are being harassed. People are being taken advantage of, and people are being controlled by the government, and they cannot do anything because Fidel Castro disarmed the people. And because they are disarmed, they really can't do nothing. So be really careful when you hear these Democrats telling you in the name of safety, give away your guns. Be very, very careful on that. Because what they really want to do is control you. Be really careful when they want to control your house. Be really careful when they want to control your money. Be really careful when they want you to depend on them. Let me tell you something, people. Don't depend on the government. If you're going to put your dependency on somebody, put it in our Lord Jesus Christ. Because he won't fail you. He won't. But I'm going to tell you this. As I see the Cuban people here in TV, man, it is really, really hurtful. because that could have been me. If my mom would have never brought me into this country, my grandfather was here very from the 1960s or something like that. He was actually able to claim us and we came legally into this country. If that would have not happened, that could have been me. I could have been there with, my children and a family and struggling to give them food. And really, you can defend yourself because you're going to walk out there in order to defend yourself or find some freedoms. And what are they going to do? They're going to release that tyrannical government on you and kill you. It's sad. It's really sad to see. And like I told my mom, it is a difficult thing to see, but Cuba is a sovereign country, and the Cuban people need to do something about that. They really do. I hope they do. I hope they do. If you live there in Cuba and you want to do something about it, I hope they do something. And I hope other countries help them as well. I really do. Because people need help. But I totally get it. And this conversation kind of started from my mom asking me, hey, what did the government in the United States is going to do? And I'm thinking to myself, they're not going to do much. First of all, they ain't going to do much because they're probably going to say, we're not going to go to war with that country. But the thing about this is that, like I said, that I was trying to think about this, is that it started back in 1959. And I know I'm rambling a little bit, but I don't got any notes or anything. I'm just speaking from the heart, speaking from my brain housing group. But it started in 1959 with a promise. The guy before Fidel was a really bad guy, by the way. His name was Batista. And it started with a promise. We're going to promise you education, the best education. We're going to promise, housing. We're going to promise, this, and we're going to promise that. We're going to promise you, money. And we all going to share the same thing. And like any communist belief, they don't work because it's simple. People are born. So many people are born and they want to take advantage of all the people. It's like an alpha male mentality. Some people take advantage of other people. Or on the other hand, some people work so hard that they feel that they deserve more. And it makes sense. If you're a doctor, you probably deserve more pay than the guy that is working at a factory. Because you work so much more. So it totally makes sense. We kind of understand that. But that's not how it works in a communist country. A lot of times they receive the same amount, the same rations. And that creates issues. People don't like that. So again, it started with this promise that we're going to give you, all this. But the problem here is that as they want to give you, a house, they want to give you rations or food and all that, they also take away your freedoms. The freedom for you to do the things that you want to do. The freedom for you to do things like inventing. I'm going to tell you this. I remember this from my father. If you create a product, let's say you make this phone, right? That phone is not yours. Even though it came out of your brain housing group. Even though you created that thing, that's not yours. It's the government. The government will take away your idea. If you're a farmer, yeah, you got some land and you got some cows. Those cows belongs to the government. The land belongs to the government. If you're a cab driver, your taxes belongs to the government. They take everything away from you. Right? So, again, they promise you that they're going to give you food. They promise you that they're going to protect you. They're going to give you this and that. But they take away all your freedoms. And that is sad. That's what we're seeing nowadays. I really do. As I see the system being developed and I see how they want to give you all this money, I think to myself, be careful with that. Because starts this way, 20 years from now, they will have total control over you. I don't know, guys. I was thinking about Cuba and what's going on. And again, I just wanted to come here and ramble for a little bit. What do you guys think? Put comments down below. And as always, God is in control.